Hey everyone, it's
Hi.
Charles D. Lincoln.
Chelsea Lesage.
Yes, we're all just Charleses today. You know what the funny thing is though, it'd still be CL. So there you go.
It's still
But,
CL. But
yep.
we are CL Squared Productions.
Yep, Charles Lincoln.
And Chelsea Lesage.
Yay.
The name
Anyway,
is still the same.
welcome to our podcast. We are going to do kind of a cinematic autopsy, pretty much. There are movies that are bad movies, but, you know, if you're a viewer, you watch them and you're like, oh, that's a bad movie, but they're well put together as a filmmaker. But then, there are movies that, if you're a filmmaker, this bad movie becomes so much worse.
It was the worst 90 minutes of my life.
And, well, we'll get to that. In a moment. So what we're going to start off with, as you probably know from listening to us, is a movie by Glenn Danzig called Verotika. I want to preface this by saying I'm actually a huge fan of Glenn Danzig's music. And I think that, you know, like Samhain and Danzig and the Misfits were giant influences on me. And I was a huge, huge fan of their stuff. And I have to say, as a filmmaker, Glenn Danzig is a great musician. Let's go and start discussing this film. So, Verotika is 90 minutes. It's an anthology film. That means for you out there, you laymen, that means that it's 3 short stories with kind of a wraparound. And this wraparound features a demon girl who shops at Hot Topic and wears a bad, obvious wig named Morella.
Oh, Morella.
So what did you think of Morella before we go into the actual stories?
Well, I did write that the hostess can kill me any day. And, you know, she was incredibly sexy, like the plunging into the eyes of, like, her, like, victim there. I was like, every little thing is sexual and, like, it's just horrible. And I wonder what direction this girl could have had.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what I kept thinking? I kept thinking about the edit of the film because they cut away, they cut to the eye close up way too soon.
Yeah, they do.
They cut to it so soon that you can tell it's a fake eye.
Yes.
You know, like if they had just taken like a second and a half and had it so that her fingernails are already touching the eye and piercing it, it would have looked so much better, and it wouldn't have looked like, oh, well, that's obviously not a real face that she's...
It's obviously not a real face.
Yeah, that she's stabbing in. And then, of course, because because Glenn Danzig saw The Crypt Keeper, she has to give bad puns, which she does really, really... Yeah, just horribly. They're not funny. They're just... I can't even... And quoting Shakespeare for no reason whatsoever at the very beginning.
No reason. And I was like, I feel like just because of how poorly she's delivering this Shakespeare quote, it's somehow misquoted. But I want to go back for a second and talk about like the opening credits briefly.
Sure. Oh my God, where even the fonts are bad.
Where even the fonts are bad, and there were certain sections that I was like, okay, maybe they're trying to do something here. There were like 3 different frames or like little vignettes within the opening part that I thought, oh, this reminds me of the original Mummy opening. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's hope for this film. No, there's not. And then I thought, wait, why is this still happening? Moving on.
Yeah, it was, but to me, the thing that got me was like just the fonts. Like the only way it could have been worse is if it was all in Comic Sans.
Don't shit on Comic Sans, Charles.
I mean, you know, it's just bad. It's just bad.
Or Papyrus. Papyrus could have been worse.
Oh yeah. So let's go into the first film. The albino spider of
Dajit. Dajit?
Well,
I got that wrong.
Dajit, by the way, I looked up on IMDb the past films of the actress who plays Dajit. And I was absolutely shocked to discover that she is normally a pornographic actress.
Yeah, that's shocking, right?
Isn't it?
That's the biggest news of 2020, actually.
Yeah, because her performance was just so
Realistic.
yeah, yeah. Um yeah, she was in I don't want to go on to the thing that actress, by the way, is now Glenn Danzig's girlfriend.
Oh, that
Um
makes sense.
yeah, Ashley Wisdom. She actually if you see her Instagram, she seems like a nice enough person, but
Instagram is a lie, Charles. You should know this by now. Everyone thinks my life is great. It's all lies.
But yeah, she was in such hits as My Sexy Boss Likes Anal.
Oh, wow, I love that film.
Have you actually seen that?
No.
Oh, okay. I don't know. You watch you have a lot more porn tastic viewing than I do.
I doubt that. Go ahead.
Big wet interracial tits too. Insatiable busty girls. Rocco's Perfect Slaves 11. Rocco, I assume, is Rocco Sigfriedi, whose dick is down to his the middle of his thigh.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, and that's soft, by the way. When I worked for my dad, Rocco was on the first film I ever saw, and I ever worked on, and he does not have enough blood in his body to get it fully hard. Yeah, he is a super super nice guy, but his dick is like the size of someone's wrist.
Can you send me the link to him?
I guess I could.
Thank you very much.
But gangbang cream pie, asshole fever, punish my pussy, curvy lesbians too, everything but with two T's. Baby got boobs, liquid lesbians, anal lesbians.
Baby got boobs?
Who named these?
Glenn Danzig.
No, I don't think
I know.
he did, but Femdom Empire, sorry. Soapy Wet Tits, Giant Juicy Jugs 4, and my stepsister Squirts 3. So, that is not an indictment of her because, hey, I have been in adult films too, and I'm not happy with their titles either, but,
That's so crazy.
I like to believe I'm a better actor.
Yes.
And that I could have pulled the character of Brigitte off even better, which would have been made for a funnier movie. But we open with Le Blowjob.
Le Blowjob.
Yes, through obviously zipped pants.
Yes, that's one of the first thing that I noticed is that it's a blowjob with the zip pants and the belt buckle is undone, and then the next shot the belt is buckled again.
In my notes after that scene, I wrote, "Do you think there are more than one take? Like, do you think there are worse takes of the things that are shown in the film?"
There probably must have been. We have to figure out who edited this together.
It was edited by a guy named Brian Cox, who I looked at his IMDb, and his only other credit was a video for the band The Hollywood Undead, called California Dreaming. We'll get to the editing in a little bit, especially when we get to Change of Face and Drew Kija or whatever. They never
even say her name.
They never actually said her name, so I don't know how it's pronounced. But tell us a little bit about what you thought of Albino Spadea of Brigitte.
Okay, well, some observations that I sadly cannot get out of my mind are that after, of course, big reveal, the zipped up blowjob French bad guy lifts up her shirts after he sexually assaults her, and she tries not too desperately, but desperately enough to keep the shirt down. She has eyes where her nipples are that don't move at all and bleed cum or cry cum. And whatchamacallit, but I noticed that after the reveal, when she's embarrassed and the guy runs away, she never pulls her shirt back down. She just sits there and is like, oh no. With the boobs, with the eyes just hanging out. Can't get rid of that.
And my question is, can she see out of the eyes? Like, is it just a weird deformity and they don't even look like real. For one, they don't look like real eyes. It just looks like she had a weird taste in pasties that day.
Yeah.
In fact, quite honestly, if Glenn Danzig really wanted some merchandising ideas, he'd market little Brigitte pasties. that are just eyes that you
Wait,
put
can we like email his like publicity people, or can we get in touch with him? Because that's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know.
I would wear those.
There you go. There you go. That'll be our horror convention outfits. Will be.
Oh my God, can we do that? Yeah. So let's talk about the albino spider himself.
Yes. With his four paralyzed, his four paralyzed arms that just hang off him and at no point move.
It's true. And so it's a little CGI, horrible CGI spider that when her eye gets on the spider, he turns into this person that's a spider that also has a horrible French accent. And yes, 4 of his legs do not move.
and I just can't help but wonder, why is it in France? There is no narrative reason for this to take place in France. And none of the actors have the same accent.
No, they don't.
Everyone is just doing bad Pepe Le Pew accents.
They're all Pepe Le Pew accents, exactly. And I thought about, it's like the only attempt that they made to like put it in France was in the cafe. After she goes into the porno store and is upset the porno movie theater and
the porno movie theater that says Los Angeles.
It says Los Angeles on it. Yes, it does. Yeah. And the fucking that she's at this cafe after she's in the porno movie theater by herself with a bunch of men, where she falls asleep and they start to like sexually harass her, and then she gets upset about it. And so after that, she hangs out in a cafe where they try and make it in France, where like the cafe is like says "lait" before it or something like that, and they try and use euros.
Yeah.
They try and use euros, but I don't even know if it's the correct currency or if it would be the right amount. And I mean, like, how many cups of coffee has this woman had at 2 a.m?
Oh man! Which reminds me, by the way, I want to skip ahead. Unless you have any of the other scenes you want to discuss, I want to skip ahead to the alley.
Yes, let's skip ahead to the alley.
Yeah, where the albino spider picks up a prostitute and then murders her. Yeah, with the immortal line, "Ass fuck is my specialty."
Ass fuck, specialty.
Yeah, ass fuck.
I wrote that down too.
But here's the thing. Number one, he's supposed to be like this shadowy figure that she doesn't see. Yet the film is lit so ridiculously brightly. His entire body is visible in the alley.
Yes.
Like there's just a little bit of blue on one half of his face, but if you were to just turn your head, you would be, hey, there's a weird looking 6-armed dude like
chilling in the alley and he wants to fuck me in the ass and break my neck.
That is very, 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 very clearly lit. Like the lighting in this film is there is no use of shadows. It is bright, fucking ridiculously lit. It really is lit like a 90s porn film.
It is. I had a couple of notes about like her stairs, the stairs that she goes up, regarding the lighting, the stairs that she goes up right before like the final sequence that we'll get to. But when she goes up the stairs, her shadow, based on where the lights are, is not correct, like, some of the time.
Yeah.
And then also with the ADR, her footsteps are hardly ever in sync with where her feet actually hit the steps.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why I was very surprised to discover someone else edited this besides Glenn Danzig. Because there's so many things in there that look like a first-time director who decided to direct his own stuff.
Yeah.
And then to discover that, no, he hired someone else to do this. Glenn Danzig really needs to get his money back.
He does. Glenn Danzig could have done a better job.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Could have just put his music over everything, and then it becomes a silent film with just Glenn Danzig music.
Yeah, but, so, and the other thing is, they used, in the alley, they used, like, a brick wallpaper. But the lighting is so bright, and they're using all these close-ups that you can see the seams in the wallpaper. I've been on a bunch of sets that have used this wallpaper. I've used it myself for different sets and stuff. And one of the things is you kind of make sure that there's some sort of shadow on it so that you can't see that it is not really brick, that it is wallpaper. And here,
I did not put that together.
Very clearly wallpaper. Very, very clearly. It really, like, there's so many bad choices in this particular short.
Yeah, at the end of this short, my last note was, why am I still watching this?
Oh, man. So let's go to the next short, which is Random Lens Flares Everywhere. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's called Change of Face.
The Change of Face. Random lens flares everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I like that title.
But really, it's just, there's just random lens flares all over it for no reason whatsoever. So.
Yeah, you're right.
Change of Face is a story about a mysterious girl stripper named Mystery Girl.
Mystery Girl.
Which sounds to me like he just didn't bother to come up with a name for her. And was just like, oh, she's like, like that's the thing is like, okay, I had a character in Teresa and Allison called the Mysterious Woman, but that's because
she was a mysterious woman.
Yes, no one actually calls her Mysterious Woman. This character is called Mystery Girl by pretty much every character.
She is, and she works at a strip club, and she is the main event, and you never see her face, and she never takes her cape off, but somehow everyone ogles over her the entire time.
Or even her skull pasties. She never takes her skull pasties off. Maybe she has eyes under there. You never know.
She's got eyes under there, man. I don't know. It's fucking scary.
So this particular film, this was the one where I really started to wonder what the fuck is going on with the edit here.
Yes.
Because like this was like someone was like, well, we have 20 minutes of B-roll of strippers.
And we can put Mystery Girl in it.
Let's just take the 20 minutes of strippers and put it in the film because we only have about 8 pages of script.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it made me realize why most movies that have like a strip club scene, it's usually like a 30-second little montage. Like this was entire songs.
It was several songs, and what I was thinking, because it really was it was not the opening of it, but it was like the first like scene. It wasn't even like bringing us into it. Open in on a strip club, and we have this montage. But they have the first scene where she rips off this girl's face, and then you have this 20 fucking minute, it seems like an eternity of a strip club B-roll. And I was thinking, because they had so much footage and so much coverage of each stripper, that I was like, which one of them is this story about? Like, who's gonna get hit next? I don't understand. Oh, that girl works here. That's what they're getting at.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, and I think any competent filmmaker would have just maybe you start with 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds at most, of the girl before her. And then Mystery Girl would come out. But number one, you wouldn't call her fucking Mystery Girl. Like, that seems 100% like a placeholder name that they just never bothered to come up with a real name for.
No, they didn't. One thing I loved that she said in the beginning, though, was, your face is very nice. Give it to me. And I liked it because a homeless man in the streets of New York has literally said that to me.
Oh, no, you ran into Le Face Ripper.
Le Face Ripper. Are we in France again? Oh, no.
Oh, my God. Well, the detective dude seemed like he was in I don't know why the detective guy seemed to think he was in, like, a 40s, like, pulp thriller.
Was he directed by somebody different than everyone else? Because both the directors were terrible. But, like, they all should have been fired, but still. He was in his own movie.
Yeah, no, he was in a completely different movie. Like, he's given, like, 1940s, like, he might as well, I didn't know if he called anyone a dame, but he might as well have.
I think he might have called someone a dame, like, hey, dame, remember.
Like, right now, I wish I could shoot you, but I'm on a case. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, and he's like, he goes into the dressing room at the strip club, and, like, what the fuck? And he's like, I could be here.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is, like, so when she's killing the second girl, it had some of the worst jump cuts I think I've ever seen in a film. Like, there was no consistency between the different shots, and I don't know if it was...
Are you talking about the girl in the apartment?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if that was done on purpose to, like, with the idea of making it chaotic, but it just seemed like, oh, let's just take a bunch of cuts and just put them in random order. for no reason whatsoever.
No reason. The thing that I noticed the most about that is that the cut on the forehead when she's dragging the knife across, and of course the squibs are terrible, and it's like they probably just had like a little oil can next to the knife that she could just like dip the knife in and go back onto it. That's how bad it looked. But I noticed that where she cut the woman's face on the forehead was like midway up the forehead, but when the like prosthetic was on and the blood was over it, it was way up beyond the hairline where she cut the face.
Oh my god.
That bothered me so much.
You know what's interesting is I talked to Shannon about this film, and Shannon says the makeup artist is actually a good makeup artist. So I'm wondering how much of this was budget, how much of this was Glenn Danzig's creative decisions. And how much, because there's at least one scene where there's two different prosthetic heads being used, but that's in Trachea.
That's Trachea.
Yeah, however you pronounce it. But yeah, but yeah, like there's all sorts of inconsistencies like that, and I wonder, because like I listened to an interview with Rick Baker, and I was listening about how the producers and the directors and stuff very often get in the way of makeup artists. Who want to do the best job they can, but you have some guy like, oh, I don't know, let's just have a face cut here, but wait a minute, will we cut over there? No, it doesn't matter. No one's gonna notice.
It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine.
That is, by the way, my Glenn Danzig's North Jersey accent, but
I never want to hear it again.
So anyway, so. When she kills the girl in the apartment, number one, losing a face immediately kills the girl in the alley, but this person is able to just hang out with her face.
And cry about losing her face.
Yeah. And then, when Mystery Girl removes her face, she turns to the camera dramatically, and there's like a extreme zoom on her. And I just wondered, who is she looking at? What exactly is happening here?
Yeah.
Why is she making a dramatic turn when there is no one else in the room?
That's so fucked up. So, going back to the faces, it was most obvious with the first shot of the first face that she rips off in the beginning, or cuts off in the beginning. But I'm pretty certain that like it's made of several paper towels because they're all square. Yeah. And they all look identical. And I'm like, did they paper mache some paper towels? I think that's what they did.
And what I love is, so we kill the girl in the apartment, and we immediately cut back to the strip club where there are not one, but two strippers who look exactly like the girl who just got killed, which is a problem throughout the whole film. Glenn Danzig has all these very LA porn-looking girls.
That are all in blonde wigs, and they're interchangeable.
Yeah, who there's about 15 of them. About 15 of them, and they all, like, if he had cast the same girl as all of these characters, no one would have noticed.
No one would have noticed. Yeah, you said that to me when you first talked about it. You were like, beware.
But do you see it? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I wrote it down in every single thing. Yeah.
And, so then they talk about some of they show a bunch of headlines and stuff.
Yeah.
And the headline that stuck out to me was gruesome killer, on the loose. Killer cuts off victims' faces and leaves them to die. Victims does not have an apostrophe.
Grammar police, call the grammar police.
Yes, this is exactly the type of thing that I would notice because I'm a pedantic asshole. But I noticed that immediately. And then, of course, we have a cameo from 1990s wrestler X-Pac, as the security at the strip club. And what's interesting about that is X-Pac was, and this is something I haven't really talked to about wrestling because it's from the 90s, but there used to be a term called X-Pac heat, which is when the audience boos you, not because you're a great bad guy, but because they want you to go away. And, yeah, so he was that unpopular back in the 90s as a wrestler, and so Glenn Danzig's solution is, let me put him in my movie.
Perfect.
I think
we're with you.
The only thing I can think of is maybe Glenn brought him in the movie because he, like the lead in De Jet, had also done a porn film. He had done One Night in China with the late Joni Lawler, who is known as China, and her giant clit, which I have heard about and thankfully not seen.
Yeah, several people have told me about that. You were the first, though.
Yeah.
Going back to this, I want to talk about the detective one more time.
Yeah.
My favorite line that he has is, "The name is Sergeant Andrews, fuckface." It's so good.
Well, what I really love about that is that, like, why are the strippers, when this woman is killing a whole bunch of very stripper-looking women, why are all the strippers protecting this potential murderer who won't show her face in the strip club?
Yeah, I don't get that, and I don't get how, like, with the apartment thing, how they found that little card, the card to the strip club, and so, like, how was that card enough evidence to make Mystery Girl the only suspect?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if there's a whole bunch of not seen things where, like, she, like, where, like, the detective accosts the guy at, like, Costco, or, like, the guy who gave her the card at Kinko's when she made some copies or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Exactly. And keeping with the spirit of this little short, is that you cut to 6 months later, right? And Mystery Girl has changed her name to Mysteria at a different strip club. There's no way that you can find her. And then the sergeant says she's a sly little bitch.
Oh no, that is, you know who says Mystery Girl's a sly little bitch?
Oh, who says that?
It's Morella, our little our host.
Oh, Morella says it.
Yes, Morella says that, and I just remember thinking to myself, does Glenn Danzig know what those words even mean?
I don't know.
Nothing in there actually fits with what was just said.
It seems like the only language that Glenn knows is music, and he should stick to it.
So now let's go to our final film, Drukegia, Countessa of Blood, starring starring evil Gina Davis. No, I'm sorry, but she totally looks like.
She kind of did for a second.
Yeah, it's Alice Haig, who actually has not been in a ton of porn films, actually.
Oh, nice. This one opens up with lots of little naked people hanging from a dungeon.
But that's the thing, they're not even people. I describe this as the Hall of Naked Flash Animation. Because they didn't even get extras to be hanging naked in the background. They didn't even get dummies.
They didn't.
They got 2-frame flash animations of just grayscale naked people that are just hanging in the background doing like 2-frame animation that looks stupid. Not convincing whatsoever.
I know, but I thought it was cool.
As she goes there and we have a whole long scene of her putting on her red paint moisturizer.
Yeah, and I wrote down, because, you and I work with blood a lot. We have stage blood, film blood all the time. More often than not on everything that we do. How long, with all of the fake blood, moisturizer, whatever shit that she puts all over her, throughout the film, how long did it take her to get that off?
I imagine she still has it on.
She still has. When did this movie come out?
March.
Oh, it came out this year?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I thought it came out in 2001.
No, it came out this year. Glenn Danzig is already making his second film, which is a spaghetti western with vampires.
I gotta go. Wait, can we be cast in the spaghetti western with vampires?
I think he already finished shooting it. I know Danny Trejo is in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Danny Trejo is in it, and Julian Sands, who is from a bunch of horror movies in the 90s. Most notably Warlock, and Warlock Armageddon. So my thing I kept noticing about, let's just call her the Contessa so we don't have to keep struggling with whatever the fuck her name is. So, thing I noticed about the Contessa is that she's wearing a pretty fancy fabric for the 16th century.
She is, you're right.
Because it's supposed to be, obviously it's based on Countess Elizabeth Bathory.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in the 16th and the 16th century, and died in the early 17th century. But she'd already been imprisoned by the 17th century.
Yes.
So I'm assuming it's 16th century, and she's wearing what looks like latex.
Mm-hmm.
with a clear zipper in the background. I mean, in the back of it.
Yeah.
And I can only and it's see through, and she has on very clearly modern underwear on under it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember thinking, like, wow, that's pretty cool that she got these fabrics that will not be invented for
That
hundreds
will not be
of years.
invented. Yeah, right, exactly.
You know, and so the thing that I really noticed at this point is that so she's on horses.
I wrote, yay, horsey!
But let's think about this as filmmakers. How the fuck expensive are horses?
So expensive.
Yes, three horses are used in this film.
Yeah.
A film that doesn't have doesn't have good lighting,
No.
doesn't have good backgrounds,
No.
and they're using this money for 3 horses and later on a wolf.
A wolf, yeah. I was like, the horses and the wolf. That's a new band name, I call it.
Like I'm just thinking of how much money.
Yeah.
How much
It's
of
like,
their budget went into
how much-
just those things?
Yeah, no, I know. It's completely absurd.
And the other thing I noticed is that everyone in this film, everyone in this short seems to just talk in whatever bad accent they feel like talking in.
Yeah, there is no continuity or when it comes to character whatsoever.
Yeah. And so then she gets the peasant girl. I would assume, what was that, her mom or something like
Yeah,
that?
her fucking, I said, the mom was so happy to sell her daughter for a couple of points to this blood-sucking countess. This her virgin daughter. I'm sorry, they pronounce it Virkin. Virkin daughter. Virkin.
Yeah. I assume at one point Glenn Danzig was like, well, it's in Hungary, so everyone should just speak in bad Hungarian accents. And people are like, but I don't know what a Hungarian accent sounds like. He's like, I don't know, just make one up.
Just make it up. That's probably exactly what he said.
And then, so they get the daughter, and then there's a lineup of girls, and at least 3 of the girls are the same blonde type girl that Glenn Danzig has used the whole film, and I couldn't tell which of the 3 girls was her.
Yes, I could, but it's only because she was purposely looking down and demure and all this stuff. But I wrote about that scene. How did they find the worst actors in the world? All you're doing is lining up to be slaughtered. You just act. That's what I wrote.
Well, because it's L.A. non-union. Because that's why. Glenn Danzig has said it's a non-union film, and non-union in New York means you can get stage actors. You can get, you can still get equity people. You can still get, people who are non-SAG. Non-union in LA means you're getting porn actors.
Yes, that's funny.
That's pretty much who you're getting. So then we cut to her looking at grapes, and the Countess is looking at grapes like she doesn't know what they are.
She is, and I'm thinking about why is she holding the grapes when her little handmaid should be feeding them to her.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that the Countess, every time she looks at something, has this expression like it is the first time she is ever seeing such a thing.
Yeah. What is this? Is there blood in this?
Yeah. So then we cut to the girl in the bathtub with her wrist slit, and the thing that occurred to me is she's in a bathtub full of blood, but the blood coming from her wrist.
Elbows.
Yeah, it stops at her elbows. It's not even going far enough to her fucking shoulders, and yet the whole bathtub is filled with her blood, supposedly.
Yeah, it's really bad.
And the thing that I also kept noticing was that this actress, and this is the first time I've ever seen this, because, as filmmakers, a lot of times you will tell an actress to play dead, and their chest will still heave. And I've run into that. We had to do reshoots in Teresa and Allison because of that. I think we haven't had to do it on Demon Hunter, but actually, no, we did. We did.
I know we did.
Yeah, one of the reshoots we did was because of that exactly. So,
yeah,
so it happens, and I'm not going to fault.
But not with this girl.
But her eyes. I have never once seen an actress who cannot keep her eyes shut.
Yes, I know, exactly. I didn't see her chest, I saw her eyes. That was all that mattered.
Her eyes are just I can't even, but, her eyes are blinking, and it was just crazy. So, I
hated this one very much. I hated them all, but I hated this one the most.
Do tell. What is it you hated the most about this one?
I hated the lack of, like, there was no story. You got that it was Bathory, and just there was no, like, character to character. There was no relationship, and they weren't in the same place. None of them were in the same movie at all. Like, you have her in her, like, futuristic outfit, and I wanted to talk about her, like, I forget her name, but her little servant person, her, like, handmaid.
Veshka, or whatever the fuck her name is.
Can we talk about, like, when she had the poofy, she had the red dress with, like, the, like, peasant thing? Can we talk about how that's obviously from Halloween Adventure and it's used in a high school production of Beauty and the Beast? That is what that is for. Nowhere else should that be ever.
So, the other thing that I kept noticing, there's so many, and this is another editing problem. So, there's about what feels like an hour of her bathing. And I just kept remember thinking, this is what fades and dissolves are for.
Yes.
Like, instead of just, like... Yes, like, instead of let's just focus on her bathing for, like, 20 minutes, like... an actual filmmaker would fade to another shot of her bathing and another, you'd show a couple seconds of her doing it and then you'd fade to the next shot. In here, it's just like, well, we have about half an hour of her bathing, so let's just show a half an hour of her bathing.
Yeah, right? Like, again, with the one before it, like, well, we don't have that much dialogue, so let's just use this for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, and then after she's bathing, once again, she's now looking at her hands like she doesn't know what they are. Mm-hmm. Because this actress has an amazing look of surprise on her face at all fucking times.
Yeah, she does.
And then she goes and looks at herself in the mirror, and this was like they used I know what, as a filmmaker, you would have the actress look in the mirror, and you'd have her do it a bunch of different times so you can get the best take.
Yeah.
This was, let's just use every time she looks in the mirror. Because she does the same fucking pose in slightly different ways about 20 times.
Oh god, you counted, you poor thing.
I didn't count, but it was just like, wait a minute, like, this should have been about a 5 to 10 second take. That is now about 3 minutes.
Jesus fuck. I wrote 3 times, I hate this, Charles, why did you do this to me, and fuck this.
and the other thing is, why does she have her futuristic headdress on when she's bathing?
I know not.
Yeah. So then they have the girl who's upside down, and they cut the throat. And once again, this is an example of using the wrong shots, because they show her full frontal on, and you can see the little prosthetic things they put the blood in.
Mm-hmm.
That make it look like she has weird bones in her neck that no one else on Earth has ever had.
Yeah, the squibs, like the pouches that you can just see, they're in plain sight.
Yeah, and then finally, the girl who has her heart ripped out, and I just kept thinking, that girl is really lucky that she lived as long as she did, but because her heart is 6 times the size of a regular human heart.
I know, I wrote that, and I was like, how is she still alive?
Like...
How is this and she's not crying, she's just like,
Oh, man. It really, really sucks that my heart got ripped out, but oh well, it was enlarged anyway.
I had a good life, I guess.
Yeah.
I've been a Birkin my whole life.
Yeah, and then, like, we go to the execution at the end. I don't even remember why the girl was being executed at the fucking end of the film.
She ran away and was caught.
Okay, so they chop her head off, and then her in the fake prosthetic head that comes off, her eye is popped out for no reason.
And it does not look like her at all.
And then they lift up the head, and it's a completely different prosthetic head.
Yes, it is.
which means that it was an obvious reshoot, and they couldn't get the original one. And they take it into her room of perfectly preserved heads, which,
there was one that wasn't preserved. There was one that was rotting.
Well, that was the one rotting one, and then the other ones are very obviously actresses with minimal makeup, just putting their heads through the wall.
Yep.
And, and then it ends and then it ends. Like, there's no actual payoff.
Thank God, that one was 40 minutes long. Thank God it was over after that.
And then finally, we go back to Morella, who is now in the fucking bath, saying, "Until next we meet, stay dark," which... What the fuck does that even mean? Like,
Doesn't mean anything. It's fucking garbage.
It doesn't. So, I guess our final word about Verotika, as a filmmaker, how do you feel that this is... What do you feel they could have done, besides pretty much everything, could be done to make Verotika a better film?
Well, that was my answer, was everything. Besides everything, with the budget that they had, again, I think that the whole thing would be better if it was just wolves and horses, and the actors were all gone and just the horses and the wolves did everything.
Yeah, like, I look at the film and it reminds me of, as I said, like a 90s porn film. But a 90s porn film where someone watched it and decided the acting was the best part of 90s porn.
Yes.
Because everyone in it acts exactly like a fucking 90s porn film.
They do.
And the one thing I want to just touch on before we finish up is that you said that your least favorite segment was
Duka Duka Duka.
Yeah, the Countessa of Blood. That is my...
Don't say favorite. Don't say favorite.
Yeah. I would say that's the one I hate the least.
That's the right way to put it.
Yes. But with Change of Face being the worst one, because Change of Face has no story.
Change of Face had no script.
No, like, let me tell you, seriously, it is, okay, mystery girl, kills a bunch of women, steals their faces, kills a detective. That is the entire fucking script.
And you said that in one line.
That is all of it. Yeah, it's not a script, it's an elevator pitch.
Yeah, but I liked the character of Mystery Girl a lot. There was just so much that could be done with that, and nothing was. So
yeah.
Like, I want to play Mystery Girl in the next one. Actually, no, I don't. Never mind. I take it back.
But I mean, that's the thing, is that, like, I feel as filmmakers, if you were, Verotika, it didn't have to be one of the worst movies ever made. It could have been mediocre. Which
it could have been. There's no way that the movie could have been good, ever.
Exactly. Oh, no. Oh, God, no. But it could have at least been mediocre. I mean, like, literally every choice they made would have had to have been changed.
Yes.
Like, they would have needed better actors. They would have fucking Change of Face should not be 8 minutes of script and 22 minutes of bored strippers.
Yes.
And maybe just in casting, you don't cast 16 actresses who all look like the same person.
Maybe. I don't know. We do cast a lot of redheads, but we all look different. All the redheads in our stuff.
You know what's really funny, and I'm gonna head off after this. But when we were doing Teresa and Allison, at one point or another, every single role had a redhead auditioning for it.
Oh wow!
And I remember joking to Jeremiah Kipp, who we hired to be on it, that we should just hire them all and call the movie Statistical Anomaly. Because there is just no way that there would be this many redheads.
Yeah, exactly.
Who all didn't know each other, all just meeting. But yeah, I just feel like this is an example of musicians who go into film and don't really know what they're doing. They think that they're just a transition. And it's one of the reasons why I did hire Jeremiah, because I saw, I didn't see Verotika, obviously, because it hadn't been made yet. But, I mean, I saw stuff like, Strangeland. Ooh, we should do Strangeland.
Oh my God, stop adding to this horrible list.
Oh, yeah, Strangeland from D. Snyder. We should definitely put that on here.
Okay.
That's going to be a fun one. But even House of a Thousand Corpses, Rob Zombie had at least directed music videos before. Even then, it's better than a lot of musician films, but it's still plays like an hour and a half music video for most of it. So
that's true.
But yeah, so I would say in conclusion, Verotika, pretty much a movie that with a lot of different choices could have been mediocre.
Correct.
Yes. So anyway, this has been Charles D. Lincoln.
I'm Chelsea Lesage.
And we are out. See you next time. Oh yeah, we didn't tell you what we're gonna show you next time.
Okay, I guess we're gonna tell them.
We're going all the way back to 1985 to look at
classic movie.
The Chuck Norris Joe Zito classic from Cannon Films, Invasion U.S.A.
And may God have mercy on our souls.
Or Chuck Norris.
Or Chuck. Yeah, I prefer that.
All right, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.